Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 7 of New York and Beyond with me, Christina Kremides. And in this episode, we're talking all about spiritual wellness. So stay tuned. We're covering everything here. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for being here for another episode of New York and Beyond. New York and Beyond strives to help us all live our fullest lives by putting us directly in touch with experts in various industries so that we can focus on creativity, growth, and the idea that we are always learning. In this episode, our guests are Alyssa Brieloff and Kara Ladd from Boundless Creatives. Alyssa and Kara are two remarkable spiritual wellness professionals who have developed such a comprehensive understanding of how to tap into your spirituality so that you can level up personally as well as professionally. We have some awesome topics that we are discussing, so really quickly before I bring them in, I just wanted to remind you guys to please like and subscribe. Please help me appease the algorithm gods by commenting, liking this episode, whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube. So let's jump in and let's talk to Kara and Alyssa. Hey, Kara and Alyssa.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Our audience is going to love this episode so much. You have so much in store for us with respect to spirituality and personal and professional growth. I can't wait. So let's just jump right in. Please give our audience a little bit of background on what you guys do and your mission.
First off, thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to chat further. My name's Kara. This is Alyssa. We're the heads of Boundless Creatives, which is a purpose-driven conscious consultancy. We help people discover their spiritual purpose and build impact brands. So we work with everyone from individuals to startups and Fortune 500 companies. And we're both New York City based. And I'll have Alyssa chat a little bit more about her role as head of content and community.
Hi, I'm Alyssa, and I love to work with everything from strategic content to really just creative behind brands. So I come from a background in working with startups and in corporate, helping brands with their social media presence. So both on the organic and paid side, and then kind of fell into consulting about 3 years ago. And it's just been a passion of mine to help brands with their own social media presence. So I've brought that experience to Boundless, and I work alongside with Kara to really help brands evolve and just have a great presence online.
Thank you for that. And you guys are so amazing when it comes to working with personal individuals as well as businesses. So could you share with our audience your holistic and spirituality focused view of wellness, and why do you believe that spirituality is so important to our personal development and success?
Yeah, so I have a very spiritual background. I was just brought into this world from a very young age from my grandmom, who would show me crystals, and we would go crystal shopping. And I got reiki certified when I was 8. So it's just been something that's been always ingrained within me. And I just grew up knowing and learning about. And so I believe that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. I don't think that, one person's more spiritual than the other. We all have our own spiritual development that is our own personal journey. And mine was just a very young age, but I think it didn't really form until a few years later, when my grandpa passed, and I started just wanting to, find out more about myself and my purpose. And I think owning a business and being my own boss has become my own kind of spiritual awakening in itself. Having this work and working with brands that we want to help with more purpose, individuals we want to help find their purpose. That's kind of my own awakening to, use my experience and what I've learned throughout this journey to help others.
And then for me and my personal journey in regards to spirituality, I was not Reiki certified at the age of 8. Mine came through a 1 in a million cancer diagnosis. It was kind of this conduit, this conscious conduit, this spark to my spiritual journey. I was not spiritual before. I was working in fashion and living in meatpacking, living this rat race kind of lifestyle. And it came to a screeching halt when I was diagnosed, and I opened up to alternative healing modalities and different Chinese medicine. And I had my first Reiki session. That was actually the conduit. That was like the catalyst that really opened my eyes to the spiritual world. I had this expansive, like, I was like tripping on light, this like very vision inducing healing experience that I haven't had quite a profound, like that profound of experience since, to be honest. But it was this tipping point that allowed me to explore all these different modalities, from crystals to meditation to breath work, that we infuse and integrate into our strategy with clients and with individuals today. So spirituality personally, I mean, I have a deeper sense of self and understanding of myself, and a different appreciation for myself and my body and for my friends and family and the people around me. It just like has given me a whole new perspective of life, to be honest. And that has obviously trickled into or transcended into my professional life. Like Alyssa was saying, we really take a spiritual meet strategic approach with all of our clients, individuals, and corporations. And we feel like it infuses so much more purpose, so much more impact when we take that strategic approach, just because we're helping people really tap into their purpose, really hone in and harness their passions, gain more clarity and confidence, so they can move forward in a more purposeful path and build an impact brand that will have boundless impact. And so, you know, spirituality, it's an ever evolving journey, is what we say at Boundless. That's what being boundless is all about. But I can't imagine my life, you know, without it. And it's almost like I've lived two lives, like one a very not spiritual life, but one that has been just filled with so much more depth.
Wow, that's just so powerful. And I do feel like our audience can relate to maybe the feeling of, you know, we know that when you do have a life experience like that, or whether it's a health issue, a diagnosis like this, it does completely change your perspective on things. And it's kind of unfortunate that I feel like a lot of the population pretty much almost sort of knows that they're not enlightened, but and not that you're waiting for that moment where it'll happen to you, but it's almost like you think maybe you're really not going to be able to achieve this view unless something crazy was to occur in your life and help you open your eyes. So I think, you know, if there's anything to be said for what you've been through, it's pretty amazing that you've had the opportunity to have this amazing wisdom and acknowledgement of all of this at such an early age, where you can share this message with so many people. And I feel like that's so inspiring. And do you feel like the spirituality aspect of what you had been introduced to when you were fighting your cancer is a big part of your recovery?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I am a full proponent of Western medicine, and I think it's truly a balance. Like chemotherapy and radiation also saved my life, but it was my ability to turn inward and get quiet, which we call inbound, and like really get to know myself and like listen to my body and be able to tune in to the direction that I needed to go. That was really what helped me gain clarity and clean my body in order to create this more like cleansed vessel for healing and greater connection. So spirituality, I mean, yeah, 100%. My Reiki healer, like, I remember being in sessions afterwards and her being like, you just have to believe in miracles. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, I'll just like believe in these miracles. But I believed in it, and I was moving forward with such a positive perspective and mindset. But I feel like it's taken me years to like really embody and believe that this work is so profound and so healing. And it's just like, it's gotten stronger and stronger the deeper I've gone into this work. But it is so healing, and it is so real. And it's just like the growth is genuinely so profound and boundless. Like I can't really put it into words, but I think spirituality was a huge part of my healing, 100%.
Okay, I'm so intrigued, and I feel like our audience is so intrigued as well. And we're going to go into more of what you guys do, but I just feel like it's so reassuring to hear someone, especially someone young, you know, who is where many of us are, you know, questioning what's real, what's effective, what can help, and kind of just to see that, you know, you've come to this place where you're so confident in this. And when you talk about self-love, I know we're going to get to that as well, but you really learned how to love your body despite what you were going through at the time, which is just, it's just also inspirational to me. And I can't wait to get into more of those details with you. So do you guys have one tip for the audience that you feel is the most important to living an intentional and spiritual life?
I think just living your truth. Like, you know, for me, spirituality was something I kind of hid for a while. I was like a little spiritual closet person that turned it off for college and, you know, even parts of when I graduated, because I just wanted to like fit in with my friends, and that wasn't what my friends were doing. But as soon as I lived authentically to what I knew was my purpose, and I totally tuned in and listened to it, to that voice, that's when everything shifted for me. That's when I lost my job and I found myself in a position that like I never would have been in had I not, you know, had that experience happen to me. So I think it's just really knowing how to be yourself and not really caring about what others think about you, because one, you're going to get judged no matter what. And two, most of the time they're only concerned about themselves. They're not really thinking about, you know, what you're doing. Everyone's thinking about their own situation. But going back off of what Kara said about, you know, what you said actually about trauma, and if you have to have this trauma to transcend, Kara and I talk about this all the time. And I think it's really important to note that I think we all have micro trauma and traumas within our life that have happened from a young age, and things, you know, things we've been taught, things that have happened to us that we might not even remember, but they're in our subconscious. And like Kara mentioned, Inbound, which is all about going inward, a huge part of our Boundless method, which is like this 4-part process to really finding more purpose, is Unbound, which is unblocking from trauma and situations that have occurred that you might not even realize that they're still affecting you today. So I think it's one, getting quiet, two, unblocking and unreal and starting to journal and release and do things to help you, you know, just become more in tune and aware of yourself. Self-awareness is like a huge part of becoming spiritual, is just being aware of what you've been through, where you're at, and how you can go forward from there.
And then for me, which Alyssa touched on this, I always tell beginners to, you know, just begin, like take that leap, take that step. You know, it's scary, but there's never going to be the right time or place. So just beginning is really important. And like Alyssa said, inbound and like surrendering to the noise of your mind, body, and soul. We're living in such an influx of interruptions and digital fatigue in general that we actually have no idea what it's like to be bored and sit with ourselves, even though meditation is now pretty much it's like integrated into the masses, it's mainstream. I would say we still don't know how to like truly get quiet. And I think there's a difference between meditating and like embodying that inbound process and like really turning inward to get to know yourself. And that self-awareness is really key to tune where you need to go moving forward, to unbound from those micro traumas, those soul wounds that are hidden in our subconscious, are nestled within the core of our beings, that can like really unearth. And that's how you grow through trauma. That's how you grow through darkness. So like Alyssa was saying before, you don't need a cancer diagnosis to have a taste of enlightenment. Like we all have our own journey and our path and our purpose, and we all have different traumas and dark situations similar to what we're going through right now, so we can grow forward. But really being able to get quiet and tune into what's working for you and what your path and your purpose really is, like that's what it's all about. Because we're all unique beings on this planet. By individuality is a huge part of Boundless. We really honor that through like creating energetic blueprints, so we can take people through the Boundless method through their own like unique lens, or like create a customized approach, if that makes sense.
Definitely does make sense. And you have me so curious now. I know we were going to talk about it later, but I have to know, can you just tell us briefly the 4 steps of your inbound process?
Sure. So the first step is inbound, which is all about one, just beginning, just getting quiet. Like you have to, you know, like Kara said, tune out the noise, get into your body, become really present. So inbound's that inward, realization. And then unbound is all about unblocking. So this can be through journal prompts or, anything that helps you to release. We love to do journal prompts. It really allows us to get everything that we need to out. Sometimes that could even just be free writing, and just allowing what comes up to come up. And then next is rebound, which is all about incorporating rituals to help us, just live with more purpose. We have our non-negotiables that are like our everyday rituals that we live by, and they're really, they're based on our unique energy and what works for us. So it's very individualized, and that's what we tell our clients as well when we go through this process with them, is really finding rituals that work for you. And then boundless is this ever evolving journey of just becoming limitless and, just expanding beyond where you're at now. We're always going through this boundless journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's so cool. So what is your definition of what it means to be spiritual? I think that many people now, when they think of spirituality, they feel like it's, one of the requirements is to align with a particular religion. Do you feel that religion and spirituality are one and the same, or do you feel that spirituality is much larger than that?
It's actually interesting that you asked this, because somebody asked me the other day, I did like an Ask Me Anything on Instagram, and somebody asked, like, do you find being spiritual growing up was hard with also being Jewish? Like, was that something that you struggled with? And I would say no. I feel like it almost made it even more so powerful, because I practiced both, and I was never super religious, but I did believe in God growing up. And I think that more so just shifted to the idea of believing in the universe and something larger than myself, and that there's a plan and that we're here for a purpose. So for me, that's more being spiritual, is trusting the journey, knowing that we're being guided by the universe's path, and what's happening to us is happening for us, not to us. And like I said, I don't think there's not like a spiritual, like there's a spectrum. It's not like, oh, you're spiritual if you do this. I think it's what it means to you. And to me, that could mean wearing crystals and doing Reiki, but to somebody else, that could simply mean that they're trusting themselves and they're trusting their intuition. So I think everyone's definition is different. And I don't think that, I can only speak for Judaism, but I don't think that they should affect your religion. I think you can honor both practices.
I also love this question, and it's something that Alyssa and I actually haven't really talked about that much, because we're just so deep in the spiritual world. There hasn't been a judgment when it comes to religion or spirituality. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this world, is that it deconstructs the notion of segmentation or siloing. Like, spirituality is about being boundless. It's about unbounding from these stereotypes and learning that your souls are boundless. They're limitless. We have the ability to channel, and not to get too woo, but we have the ability to channel higher powers that are outside of our finite beings. And I think spirituality also it's about ritualizing everything, in life, everything from making your coffee to making your bed to being present with your friends. It doesn't have to be this finite definition or ceremony or celebration. It's really, like Alyssa said, it's what you make it. And I think that's what makes spirituality so beautiful. It's about being boundless and just like tapping into your unique purpose and power, and your dharma, your purpose and legacy that you want to leave on this planet in this lifetime. That's like what spirituality is to me.
I absolutely love that. And I feel like it's just such an interesting concept that religion and spirituality has the ability to unite people in such a strong way, but it also has the ability to divide people in such a strong way. And I just find that so interesting. And I agree with you in that I feel like being spiritual is realizing and acknowledging the fact that we are one part of a larger whole. You know, we are more similar than we are different, just with respect to the dogma, and kind of like one person's rituals are different than another's, and we see that as a way to divide. So I love that you look at spirituality as a way to be a whole.
Yeah, I mean, we're all interconnected, right? Like energetically, we all are birthed from the same earth, from the same like stars, right? The same universe. So we all are interconnected in that capacity, whether you like to acknowledge it or not. And I actually didn't even mention, but I'm half Jewish, half Christian, and I was raised in that way. So to have, these juxtaposed religions under one roof, I think allowed me to also unbound from that stereotype that you have to be put in this box, that you have the ability to expand and incorporate a bunch of different modalities and a bunch of different systems in order to synthesize into whatever you want to be.
Yeah, it's truly so interesting, and it makes so much sense. I mean, myself, coming from, my background is Catholic, and I married, my husband is actually Greek Orthodox. And it was interesting because those belief systems are so similar if you were to be comparing from a religion aspect. But it was interesting to see, even like planning a wedding or planning a future, like these things become topics of conversation. These small little minute differences become things that, even our families were like, what are you guys going to do? Like, how's this going to work? Because our families are so traditional. And it takes a lot of understanding to kind of just step back and realize that we all have a purpose, and we all have a greater good. And kind of to try to not let the little details get in the way of that.
I love that.
It's just so interesting, and I feel like you've seen it growing up with two different religions in the household. It was probably a nice perspective to have as well, instead of a perspective where you feel like you're growing up with the quote right versus wrong way of things. It's just must have been very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys mentioned Reiki a lot as well. And this brings me to another question that I had for you, which is kind of, I suppose I would call it the fear of the unknown. But this is something that I really always wonder. And I think that some people are hesitant to dive into spirituality because they fear the unknown. So this is obviously, we know, I feel like we hear it all the time, and whether you really think about what it means or not, we are, like you said, spirits in a human form, and that we are greatly limited by the physical structure that we are in, which is our human bodies. There are so many things that you're not necessarily in tune with, because we're human, but so the idea of opening yourself up to the spiritual world, I think for some people is a little bit scary, only because we don't know what's there, so to say. We know what we're told, but we don't really know all of it. And I personally believe that our spirit is sacred and that it needs to be protected. So what would you say to someone who believes in the power of spirituality? Like, we obviously know that it's extremely powerful, but we aren't sure which practices or practitioners to trust. So for example, with Reiki, it's like you're trusting a person that might even be a stranger to channel energy and put it into your body. So my question is, can you trust? Who can you trust? And should you even be looking at it this way? Or should you just kind of surrender and be more open?
I think skepticism is completely healthy when it comes to spirituality. There is such thing, in my opinion, as dark energy. But I would say the majority of the spiritual world, and actually that's coming out in a lot of like politics and like spiritual, like conspirituality. But I think this goes back to turning inward and figuring out what works for you and your body and your energetic makeup and everything. Like, if you are a little bit uneasy, do your research when it comes to the healers that you're working with. Look at the testimonials, like talk to different people in the spiritual community or in the conscious community, or like get a second or third recommendation. And then most importantly, it's all about checking in with your own energy. And if it feels right, you know, you can only seek outside support so much. So something that we do with clients too, is like after a discovery call, we check in with our energy and we're like, how do we feel right now? Does this feel in alignment with our highest good right now? Or does this feel like it's dimming our light and bringing us down? And, you know, I think if you ask for like a discovery call or something like that with the healer, maybe they would be open to it. Or when you're scrolling through their site, check in with your energy, similar to like, this is how we like shop for crystals too. You have to like hold them and like check in with your energy and see how you feel when you're working with these different tools. So I think working with healers is similar, and it can be scary, but I think, again, just beginning and testing out the waters, it's not like a completely, it's not always going to be like this dark and scary world. I would say like try to trust as much as you can, and take the leap, and you'll kind of learn along the way. I mean, I don't think I've had like a really, really dark or really bad spiritual healing experience. I don't know, Liz, have you? I actually,
yeah. Well, I was just going to add, don't do things out of fear. So, because if you aren't, again, like not doing your research, like I was in a really dark place with my job 3 years ago where I just felt like I needed something outside of myself. And I ran to the nearest psychic person on my block who basically convinced me that I had been cursed for centuries and my whole family was cursed and I needed to pay her X amount of dollars to break the curse. And it felt wrong, but I felt like I was so desperate that I was willing to do anything. I ran down to the ATM. I paid her $80 up front and I owed her like $200 still. So she basically was like, okay, pay me this now. And once I start doing, you know, this breaking the curse, I'll call you and you'll come back and you'll pay me the rest. So I was like, that's weird. She never called me. I had to keep following up, which I also thought was strange. So I just started realizing, and somebody once said this to me that I found really interesting, was you only give it the power if you believe it. So she believes I was cursed, but if I don't believe it, I'm not giving her that power to have over me. And so I think not doing things out of fear is the first thing I would suggest. So like if you're seeking something because you're scared, go into that inbound state and go inward first. Because most times you'll find the answers within. You don't need a psychic person to, you know, tell you your curse and they're going to help you. You really can help yourself with your own tools. But I also am a firm believer in seeking support. And I love working with, you know, whether it be human design readers or astrologers, people that I trust and know they have a really great reputation or they work with a really reputable, you know, community or, you know, a company. I love to work with those people, but I also still, you know, when I feel like I need that support more, that's when I feel like I have to go inward more. Like when I'm seeking, oh, I need answers, I need to see this certain reader or whatever, that's when I'm like, no, like I can turn inward first. But I also think there's a healthy balance. I do think that I've gotten so many amazing readings that I'm like, that have taught me so much about myself. And it wasn't necessarily like telling me the future. It was more telling me things that I needed to hear to work with my own tools and get somewhere and, you know, go inward more. So it was always about, when I had these readings, always about like going inward more and doing these unblocking things to like allow myself to be more free and flowing with what is.
Okay. I don't know if you guys saw, but my jaw was literally dropped open the entire time that you guys were talking. I'm shook. So I feel like this was reassuring. I feel like I really appreciated your guys' response to this question. And so pretty much, can we trust that if we're only here for the light, and if we're only here for the good energy, and we are intentionally not looking for dark energy, you would say that we are pretty much safe as we explore the spirituality journey?
Yeah, I think we both can definitely say that with confidence. I mean, we're believers in the law of attraction, but we also believe that the work goes a lot deeper than that. Like it's kind of that saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. And again, like, we are firm believers in surrounding yourself in a conscious community, in a like-minded community, an expansive community, to help lift you higher and really help you channel, embody, and harness your light. But yeah, it goes a little bit deeper than that. But if you're on the positive path and you are trying to grow from a place of good and betterment for yourself and the collective, you manifest for the good and for the collective as well.
Very interesting. Thank you for that. So do you find daily rituals important? Do you guys have daily rituals? Do you feel like they make a big difference in your life?
Yeah, we call them our non-negotiables, and I feel like I found mine. And I actually was just away in Florida, and I was normally I'm rigid when I travel, and I like have to do the same things when I'm home and have a routine, but I just kind of let go. And that was a ritual in itself of not having to do anything. I didn't have my morning lemon water, which I usually have, or like things that I typically have with me. It was just more about being present. But I would say for me, I have to wake up and make my bed and not check my phone, really just be present in the morning with myself, because it's my time to just check in with my energy and protect it for the day ahead before I have calls or I take on other people's energy. So really protecting my own energy through, breathing and getting quiet first, and having a nice cup of tea or something that makes me feel good, or a green juice, whatever it is. Every day is kind of different, but I always come back to just like owning my own energy before I can give out my energy or absorb other people's energy throughout the day.
And similar to Alyssa, I have my non-negotiables too, that has taken years, mind you, to like really harness and like get to know myself, because through the rebound process, which is the third part of the 4-part Boundless method, it's about that exploration of rituals. And so I've spent like the past 4 years exploring all these different I was obsessed with routines. I still am obsessed with routines, because I think they are paramount to like your groundedness, to your stability, to your root chakra. They keep us grounded and stable and feeling secure in our own being, in our own home and environment. But yeah, I've taken years to like really explore so many different rituals. But my non-negotiables are, I wake up and I do meditation. I do like 12 minutes and 40 seconds, which is a very particular number because it's my angel number. And I just do silence sometimes, but sometimes I have guided. I love Sarah Blondin on Insight Timer. And I also was meditation teacher certified as well. And I like lead meditations throughout our Soulbound Circle and our Soulbound course as well. So meditation is a big part of my routine. And then I write, and it can be anything from like a word to a sentence to 5 to 10 pages. It's like what I'm feeling that morning. If I need a little bit more structure, I have the daily Stoic journal, or I free write like the Artist's Way method. And then lastly, I do movement. And again, it's like different pretty much every single day, but it's like 15 to 30 minutes of Pilates or yoga, or maybe it's a walk outside, but some sort of movement to release stagnant energy and to just like open myself up to new energy. So yeah, those are 3 of my non-negotiables that I really have honed in on. And I'm honestly like still working on my nighttime rituals and routine. Like that's something I'm still exploring. So we're all like beginners and learners.
And it's always evolving too, which I think is interesting to see, like ritual, especially with the most recent year that we've been through with COVID. Like there were phases to the COVID lockdowns for sure. Like my rituals in the beginning are different than what my rituals were in the middle, and they're different than what my rituals are now. So I understand what you mean as far as rituals can change. But I think that what you shared is very helpful, because everywhere you look and everyone you talk to and everything you turn to and every resource that you read is going to have a different ritual that you should pick up, right? So I think this was nice to hear that, our rituals can be different, but they're helpful to you personally.
Yeah, it's about what's finding like what's right for you in the here and now, what like resonates with you. But our core our core, that's why we bring it back to like our core energetic makeup and our blueprint, and like how I've really honed in on my non-negotiables by looking at my like astrology, my human design, and kind of going from there to really hone in on those.
Super cool. And you mentioned your angel number. So you mentioned that you do 12 minutes and 40 seconds of meditation each day. And I feel like it's interesting because I feel like numerology and angel energy and angel numbers has gone so mainstream all of a sudden. Like everyone's talking about it, like it's just trendy. Like I don't know if everyone really understands it. But it's definitely prevalent now on Instagram and social media and Pinterest. And so would you be willing to share with our audience how you identified your angel number?
So I actually found out my angel number 124 this past year. And I've had different angel numbers at different times of my life, which is also about kind of like this ever evolving, boundless journey of self-discovery and growth. Similar to rituals, different numbers have resonated with me at different times in my life, like 1111, which is a big one, the most divine one, probably the most popular one. I saw when I first started my spiritual journey. It was like the gateway to spirituality was kind of opening for me. And then I started from there seeing like 333s and 444s, which all have different meanings. And you can head to Boundless Creatives. We have an about in angel numbers because we price all of our offerings, their angel number pricing. So we have an about section on that. So you can head there. But for me, it was in a meditation that I had the realization, and it was reaffirmed by a friend who was like, I think I was talking to my friend who was talking about how her addresses have all been the same numbers or something like that. And I've heard that before, but it was in that specific moment that it just clicked. And in a meditation the next day, I realized that 1, 2, and 4 have been in all of my childhood home addresses. And I was born at 12:24 a.m. It's just like been a consistent number in not every single phase of my life, but the most like catalytic moments of my life. And so it's funny how you can hear something over and over again, but for the 100th time, it like finally clicks and you're like, oh, it's like I was meant to know at that time. And so now I'm like starting to integrate it more and more. I have like a sticky note with the number 1, 2, 4 in my kitchen to like keep it top of mind. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't have like an actual angel number. Mine is always like changing, I would say. And it's usually like, it was 33 or 333 for a while, where like for the whole year before everything happened with the pandemic, 33 was my number, and I would see it and I would notice patterns about when I was seeing it. But I feel like it shifts a lot. Sometimes I'll see 55 or I'll see 777. And I think it's just noticing when you see them and what's coming up for you, and like kind of doing like a Google, like, what does this mean? Like I just like to save them and write down like when this happens so that I can just keep coming back to like, what is this message? Because the universe is always trying to send you messages and you just have to like listen. But sometimes it's numbers, sometimes it's, butterflies, or for me, I would say more than a number is actually JJ, which is it was my grandfather who passed away, and I have a tattoo of him. He was just like my everything. And so for me, it's more seeing JJ. Like when I see JJ, I know like I'm on the right path. I'm doing okay. Like I ask for a sign and like I'll get his initials on license plates or on a sign. So to me, it's more working with like angels, I guess.
Yeah. On that note, there's like so many different like totem animals, signs, symbols. It's like whatever is resonating with you, but you have to be like awake, aware, present enough to notice those synergies and kind of like the correlations. And similar to what Liz was saying, whenever I see an angel or my like newest totem animal is a dragonfly. I've been seeing them like everywhere on jewelries and just everywhere, but that's a very new one for me. But whenever I see it, I pause and I take an extra breath and I try to think a little bit deeper about the thought that I was just thinking about. So that's a good, because it's a sign that it's like an affirmation to like pause, slow down, be present, and sit with what you were thinking about, with what's going on in this experience, in this like moment of life, in my opinion.
So true. I think that the being observant and the willingness to accept that something could truly be a sign is the biggest thing. And it's been so interesting, especially for me too, there are numbers that have repeated for me throughout my life, especially at different times. It's just been so interesting, like, you know, whether it's like, was my dorm room number, and then my first apartment number, they were like the same. And my boyfriend at the time's birthday was the same number, and now he's my husband. And like these numbers just like pop up and pop up and pop up and pop up. And we've become so in tune with it that if there is something that we're interested in, and let's say we're like buying a property or something and the address has the number in it, we're like, that's obviously ours. Like that's the one that's ours, just because we just become so used to looking out for it. And it's so funny. The craziest thing too, like John and I were watching, my husband and I were watching a like documentary about people who, you know, send signs to each other, like in the afterlife. And like it's like, this is the craziest thing. Cause like, obviously we don't have to worry about this for like ages and ages and ages, but like, we already know like what we would send each other as a sign, like if anything like was ever to happen to us. Like it's just crazy, but like it's just like interesting, you know, because I also think that you can send someone a message. Like you don't have to be in the afterlife or in another realm to do it either. You can do it like as a human being, you know.
That was the documentary. What was it called? I think I saw that one. It was so good. Surviving Death.
Yes, that was it.
Oh my God. That was a crazy show.
This actually comes full circle because I just lost my grandpa really recently, and it's my mom's mom, and he like wasn't in my life a ton, but until recently, and it was like a beautiful closure for my family and everything. And my mom went through this moment where she was there when he passed, and she had this certain smell. And she basically, he passed, and she smelled the same scent when she was like going through her closet the next day, and she like felt his energy. And like my mom's kind of spiritual, but she like had like full body goosebumps. And it's just like that. She like told me, I think I'm the only one and everyone else that's going to listen to this that like knows my family. Like she hasn't really told my family because I'm like the most spiritual, but she was like, he was there, like for sure. He was like there with me. And she told me that she like spoke the words, "Hi Dad," out loud. And it was just like this profound spiritual moment. And isn't it so cool to think that like our spirits can like transcend time like that?
It's absolutely so phenomenal. And it's funny because we've all heard, you know, we've all heard stories. We've all, you know, we know it's there, but when you really acknowledge that it's real, you're like, oh my God, this is so powerful. And if you can simply get in tune with it and tap into it, just to think that we can have a touch of that power, you know, in our living time here is just the coolest thing to me.
I love that. I mean, at the end of the day, spirituality doesn't have to be like dark or heavy or intense and like layered with like growth and development. It's like, it's really about just living life through, we've been talking about this a lot at Boundless, like living life and approaching work and approaching the day-to-day through a childlike lens of awe and joy and love and just like appreciation and gratitude for where we are in the here and now. Like that's really like at the end of the day, like what spirituality and being boundless is all about. It's like the joy and excitement of being able to be on this journey, to be here in this lifetime, and to be able to grow and learn and experience these boundless possibilities.
It's just so nice. I just feel so happy right now talking to you guys. Like, I just feel like this was like our dose of wisdom for the week. Like, I just cannot wait to share this episode with the audience because it's just been so uplifting talking to you guys so far. And I know I want to be cognizant of your time. I know that I can't keep you guys forever, though I would love to keep you guys forever. And I think something too to note for the audience, Kara and Alyssa should 100% be your resources as well. Utilize them, check out their Instagram page, check out their website. This is just like a little almost at the end note, but I think it's just so important to, to open this dialogue between us, and it'll just, I feel like it would just be such a nice relationship to expand and have. So just a little note there. So could we quickly discuss Reiki and crystals? I feel like they're not the same thing, but they're kind of, we can kind of address them at the same time. Just a brief explanation of how they work and why they're important.
So Reiki is energy, it's life force, and everything has energy in the planet. We're all energetic beings. And so for you to get Reiki, it's allowing energy to really just move throughout your body and release stagnant energy, bring new energy in. And so we work with the chakras, and that's how I always was taught when it came to Reiki. And the chakras are the 7 main energy points in the body. There's more than that, but we work with 7. And so I would go see a Reiki specialist who would basically unblock my chakras. And when they're closed, they can show up in different ways in our life. So if our root chakra, which is our base chakra, and our foundation is blocked, then we can show up and maybe we're more anxious. We're doubting ourselves and kind of feeling like we're unstable or unrooted or not grounded. We're up in the clouds. We don't feel financially stable. So there's tons of different ways to see which chakras are opened and which ones are blocked. And I think that's just becoming familiar with them. You don't have to be certified in Reiki to know this. You can, use your own hands over different parts of your body and these chakras to heal yourself and bring, life and new energy into your body. But going to Reiki from somebody who is certified is really amazing. It's one of the best feelings ever. Even though I'm certified, I love getting it from somebody else too. I love doing it on myself. It's just a really powerful experience. And then with crystals, I think they go hand in hand because there's different crystals that are related to the chakras. So if you're feeling anxious, you can turn to a crystal that's really good for grounding you, that's connected to the root chakra. So maybe it's something dark like a red jasper or a smoky quartz or a black tourmaline, something that's really dark because the color associated with the root chakra is like a red. Again, it could be something not related to your chakras. It could be just what you're turning to, or like you go into a store and you just like pick one up. We can't do that now, obviously, but for me, I always love to carry like the same one. So I have my selenite that's been sitting on my lap this whole time. This is my go-to crystal for just cleansing my energy. I have one in every room of my house. I carry a mini stick with me. They're just really great for cleansing and protecting your energy. It's I think my favorite crystal. And then things like rose quartz for, love, or maybe you're having an interview and before I speak, I like to use like my throat chakra crystals. So like a lapis lazuli or something that's blue. Kara has a necklace on right now. I also have a similar necklace from her that has crystals full of it. So again, I think it's just, you don't need crystals to make you spiritual or to feel a certain way. They're just kind of like extra add-ons that are nice to have. You have the power within you. You don't have to go buy a million crystals. But I also do think that they're nice things to work with and enhance your energy or your space.
And if you are looking for more rituals or just more explanation about like what crystals maybe work best with your energetic makeup, we do that through our rebound coaching. And we also have different crystal rituals and rebound rituals in our Boundless Intentions journal, our 2021 Boundless Intentions journal that we launched this year. So if you're looking for a place to just begin, I would recommend checking out the journal, our rebound coaching, and also our soulbound course that takes you through more of the 101 chakra energy, how to work with your chakras, how to work with crystals, and just a place for spiritual beginners.
Thank you so much. That's such a good point too. And when it comes to the crystals, I love how you described it. And I noticed that, Kara, you were holding the same crystal as Alyssa.
Yeah, I have my selenite one that I keep on my desk too, especially during calls, because it's really important. We're both non-energetic beings when it comes to human design. I'm a projector and Alyssa's a reflector, which means that we can like take on people's energy really easily. And selenite wand is good. You can wave it over your body to cleanse your energy, to cleanse your space as well, to cleanse other crystals. So it's a good ritual, and yeah, we love them. Selenite ones are the best.
Amazing. I mean, and something to note too about the crystals. I know that some people like roll their eyes when they see like crystal people or people that like crystals, like, oh my God, are you serious? But it's funny because even as a real estate agent, like you're very in tune with your energy and you want things to go well. You want to be liked. You want to communicate well. Like everything that you do, like, you know, as entrepreneurs, it's like, you know, you don't get your paycheck just by showing up that day. You have to do the most and you have to, you know, so, and it's real estate agents will have piles of crystals on their desks. Like it's just something that we are all about. And we do get a lot of eye rolls from people. My bag is always like 5 pounds heavier because I'll carry multiple crystals with me at any one given time, like small bags, like don't cut it for me. But, and the thing to remind people of when it comes to the crystals is it's a visual reminder too, like whether you want to, you know, whether you feel the energy with the crystal or not, it's also a reminder, which I think that's the most powerful part of it too, I think, is like, oh, I intentionally chose to take this rose quartz with me today. I'm looking for that feeling of love, and I'm intentionally bringing this with me, and I am seeking that. And when I reach into my bag, I'm feeling that, and I'm reminding myself, and it's just making you more consciously open to feeling that energy. And that is exactly the way to get it. You know, I feel like that's just something interesting about the crystals too.
Yeah, and something I always say to people that are like, don't believe in crystals is, one, like, why, you know, what belief did you have that like it doesn't work? Like you shouldn't shame somebody for having their own belief. Like maybe you have something that looks different, but this works for somebody else. And two is, crystals are energy, right? They come from the ground. They literally come from the earth, and everything that comes from the earth is energy. And so to me, that's just what I'm reminded of, is how they're really powerful pieces of the earth. And if they don't work, they're not hurting you. They're just, like you said, this intentional reminder. They're not like causing harm by believing in something like this.
It 100%. I completely agree with that. I wonder if the audience will also feel this and resonate, but I 100% do when you're talking. And I know that it's virtual, so it's even harder now, but you know, I talk to a lot of people between this show that I work on, and as well as the fact that I'm a real estate agent. I'm talking to people nonstop every single day. And sometimes you will connect to someone and sometimes you don't, you know, like you can have a conversation and not connect with someone. And every conversation, even the ones that I do for this show, you don't always know what to expect. You know the people, but you don't know how it's going to go. And I just feel like this connection was so amazing. What you guys said completely resonated with me. I feel like I got so much out of this, and I want to say our audience is going to feel the same. But I think that coming to this show or coming to this video, however anyone's watching it, I think that at this point they'll be surprised at what they've really taken away from it. And I feel like, you know, whatever you guys did on your side worked, because the communication is loud and clear. It connected, it resonated, and it was so powerful.
Thank you so much. I just got goosebumps. That was so kind of you. Yeah, it's taken a while, and I feel like we are still honing in on our purpose too. Again, that's what being Boundless is all about, but we're all about grounding the woo and bringing modern mindfulness to the masses. So we're really excited to connect with you and your community and chat more, have these conscious chats.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So quickly, I know that we are cutting it close now on time. Could you leave our audience with your one biggest tip for, let's say they want to start being spiritual, don't know exactly where to start. What would be your biggest tip for living a spiritual life, and what would be the first step?
I think to circle back to what I mentioned before, and just getting quiet and turning inbound, and connecting with a like-minded community. I think getting quiet for me allowed me to understand myself on such a deeper level and really start to become more aware of my actions, my thoughts, my emotions, so I could pivot and like refine my path moving forward. And then, just beginning, like connecting to a like-minded community, starting to explore different modalities was like really expansive for me. And that's like why we created Boundless. That's why we created Soulbound, our course, our 4-week starter course to spiritual self-discovery. And that's why we started Soulbound Circle as well, to create a place to just begin and to connect deeper with yourself and a like-minded community. So we set it up at Boundless based on our journeys and what has worked for us. So we hope it works for all of you as well.
Yeah, can you tell our audience how they can find the Soulbound Circle and how they can go about joining and what it would and what it'll bring to them?
Yeah, so you can just head to boundlesscreatives.com, and under membership, you can find our Soulbound Circle membership, which is a monthly mindful membership of mind, body, business, and soul up-leveling gatherings. And we take you through the Boundless method, just our coaching process every single month. So we have that inbound meditation, unbound journaling prompts, rebound rituals, and then Boundless is the workshop, which this month we have a cacao circle on the 22nd. And in March, we have a bank blessing. It's going to be all about financial wellness. And if you're looking for more of a self-paced model and looking to tap more into chakras and just kind of like explore spirituality on your own for a little bit, we recommend checking out Soulbound. So you can find that at boundlesscreatives.com and under course as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the journal, can you just remind our audience about the journal and what the new journal is that you guys created?
I'll have Alyssa take it from here in regards to the journal, but I'll show everyone. It was launched earlier this year, but it's still on sale. But it's a V2 version of Alyssa's journal last year, so I'll help her describe it.
So the intentions journal was really brought to life from the idea that I kept seeing people share, and I personally was doing this as well, my monthly intentions on Instagram. So whether that just be like a blank paper people were drawing their intentions on and kind of keeping you accountable and having people to see what you were, having that intention for that month be. So I wanted a journal for people to have space to write this in, but also to be able to work with the new moon, the full moon energy of every month, because we're obviously really into astrology. And so, yeah, last year just kind of like came up with the idea, was on a bachelorette party, like designing it behind the scenes, like while my friends were like outside, and had it created within like 2 weeks and just sold out. And it was really incredible to see all the people share their intentions with me on social media and tag me. So it's been really amazing to just like connect with others who want to live more intentionally. And then our journal now is the same approach, but we just kind of made it more to the Boundless experience with our Boundless method actually infused in each month. So you kind of get like a mini coaching from us of, what our suggestions of rituals are based on the astrological and like elements of each month. And again, like just making it what feels good to you. We actually just started offering coaching for intention setting as well, which we weren't doing before because we didn't realize that there was a need for it. But we have people who are interested in learning how to even start writing intentions and how to be more intentional. So that's an offering that we're really excited about. And we find that it's helped people to be more accountable with their intentions and not get so stuck in one. I think the ego-driven mindset of like resolutions or things that like you want to achieve for the whole year, but you put so much pressure on yourselves, and one, they're either not aligned with what you actually want, or two, they're just so unrealistic that you can't even do them. So that's why I think breaking your goals more monthly into things that are attainable, and they're more about like things you can work on internally rather than externally. So for example, like one for me could be just like cultivating more self-love, and then I'll have like examples underneath, like I want to like do more inner child work, or just like accept compliments more, like little things like that are broken down and actionable.
Thank you so much. Can you remind our audience, can you let us know your Instagram handles, where they should go to follow you guys? And I'm also I'll be providing the links in the description. So guys, if you're listening or watching, if you scroll down to the description, you'll see all the links for the ways that you can contact Kara and Alyssa. I'll include the link to the journal. So if you could just tell us your Instagram handles.
Yeah, so you can find my personal brand, Boundless by Kara, at Boundless by Kara on Instagram and TikTok and pretty much every channel. And then Boundless Creatives is at Boundless Creatives, and all of our offerings you can find on boundlesscreatives.com.
And my handle is Alyssa Brieloff. Very simple, my name.
Thank you. So guys, check the descriptions for all the details. This was a blessing. I feel so happy and just so light and just rejuvenated after talking to you guys. I so appreciate this.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we did this, and it's been great chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope you got as much out of that episode as I did. I just feel so good after speaking with Kara and Alyssa. So if you like what you heard today and you would like to be notified of new episodes, please click the like button on this episode and make sure that you're subscribed. I bring in professionals from all kinds of industries on this show. If you guys ever have any recommendations for people you would like for me to feature on the show, I would be more than happy to reach out to them and have them on. We have such an amazing lineup of people coming onto this show, and I just am so excited to share it all with you. So make sure that you're tuning into every episode. Also, please follow me on Instagram. My handle is Christina.Cremitas. I do giveaways every single week there. And of course, you can always send me an email or get in touch with me however you'd like. All of my contact information is in the description. Thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for the next episode.